The Warriors and Suns are 6-1. What's real? What's fake? Are they both real? What's going on?
I think the defense for the Warriors, it's real.
Have you seen their schedule?
Their schedule's been a little Mickey Mouse. But they've also not had Steph, and they've been winning these games.
Yeah, they've won
beating
those
teams
games.
they shouldn't be beating.
I say it's real where I think that them being under 100 defensive rating is real? Absolutely not. Do I think that they can be one of the better defense in the league? Yeah, I do believe that, especially with the way that Draymond Green has been playing this season. He's been one of the best defenders, arguably the best defender this season. I think the defense is what's real. The offense, do I think Buddy Hield is going to continue this level of shooting, this level of efficiency? That's where I have my question marks.
Second like Oklahoma.
Because
Buddy
I think
Hield.
for sure. Shout out to Ryan Hammer. He always said that Buddy Hield was his favorite college player to watch. He was pretty fun, but I don't know why that just came into my head. But
He was a dog over there.
But regardless, I feel like my issues my question marks, I should say, come more so about the offense because of how efficient they have been shooting the three ball. But I think defensively, that's more of an effort thing. And yes, we can say that it also does come from who they have played. But when it comes to defense and the level of effort they've been showing, I think that is legitimate. So we're just strictly talking about Golden State right now because I can happily talk about Phoenix.
Yeah, talk about both.
Because Phoenix, that was one of my opinions coming in that I felt like they could be teetering on that top 4 seed in the Western Conference. Them in Minnesota, I really flip-flop back and forth. It should have been the Nuggets, the one that I really questioned. But all in all, Tyus Jones and what he's been able to bring as a lead facilitator for this offense, it just opens up the floor so much more. And actually, you have a guy that can initiate offense, and you have Devin Booker in his natural position, and Kevin Durant. And I thought it was funny because we always, let me not say we, but a big talking point on Kevin Durant's game is that he doesn't attack. He's not a downhill type of player. Ironically enough, he hit the game-winning shot going downhill last night. Of course, that's just a moment, but in big moments, is that going to be what Kevin Durant brings you this season? That's something to look out for. But Kevin Durant's been engaged unbelievably this season. Not that was ever in doubt, but he's just taken to a whole other level, really. And you have Ryan Dunn. We've spoken about it. That's been like the one thing that we've spoken about this basketball season nonstop is what he's been able to bring defensively. That's been a huge addition for them. Last game, didn't shoot the greatest, but what you need from him is defense. But Tyus Jones, to me, is the biggest talking point for the Phoenix Suns because obviously he provides you a level of spacing. You have a guy that's not going to turn over the ball at all. His assist to turnover ratio is NBA historic levels of great. He's really what really has gotten me excited about this team. I still think they need a big. I think Yusuf Nurkic is not a useful player for them on offense. There was a point in time early in the year where he was top 10 in turnovers, and all the guys in front of him were guards, and he was just sitting there at number 10. I think that's a black hole, and that's something that they would like to address come trade deadline or sometime before then. But outside of that, Bradley Beal's been really good for them in the times that he's played for them. I really like the core of this Suns team. I do think that this is a legitimate team. The Warriors offense, if I had to pick of the two, do I think am I more hesitant on the Suns or the Warriors? It's definitely the Warriors, but highlighting the Warriors, the defense is going to be here. The offense is what scares me.
Yeah, I think as long as you get a locked in and engaged Draymond, this defense will always be elite. Like, it doesn't matter who's on the court with him. So I think the defense always is real as long as he's locked in and engaged. And he's said that he wants to get back on that all defensive team. He wants to get back into people's minds that he is one of the best defenders. He talked about that. He's like, people kept talking about Shet and Wemby this summer. Don't forget about Draymond Green and stuff like that.
Way better.
So Draymond, when he's locked in and engaged, he is one of like the 5-6 best defenders in the world. And I think Golden State's defense is real. It's legit. Plus, you got the scrappy guys up front that cause turnovers, wreak havoc and stuff like that. So I think their defense is real. Offensively, we'll see how they look against top defense. They have this nasty ass road trip coming up. It's OKC,
I was just looking at the
Boston.
schedule. Boston, OKC, Dallas, Cleveland.
Cleveland, yeah. So it's actually perfect.
You're playing like the four best teams.
You're playing top two, probably greatest offenses we've seen in OKC and Boston. Some good ass offense. Cleveland Warriors matchup terrible. I saw them play them last year and the year before that twice with their two big shit. Doesn't work. Cleveland owns them.
You got a small ass line.
Yeah, it's just small. Doesn't work. So interesting to see how that goes. Boston, they typically play Boston really well.
Last year, Easter was it?
No, it was 1-1.
Sunday.
It was you guys beat us
Sunday
like 40.
was like 50. Yeah,
and then they won at home. So
we're not gonna have Jaylen Brown.
beautiful. But it's at Boston, so Golden State probably loses that one. But yeah, this is a tough. This
Don't
is a stretch.
count them out, man.
No, they tend to
be on a mission.
They win in Golden State against Boston. They usually lose in Boston. That's usually how it
Count
goes.
who out?
The Warriors against Boston.
Oh,
Yeah, I think this is the road trip that really tell me about this offense. As for Phoenix, I've seen people like talk about Tyus Jones having these like inflated assists that they're really normal, and I don't think
that shit's funny because there's one I saw on Twitter. He did pass it to Booker. Booker made like 6 different moves and hit a mini. It's like assist for Tyus Jones.
People don't understand how important it is to have a point guard that's just good at not turning the ball over and just being a communicator and being able to slow things down and tell people like, yo, this is the set we're gonna run. Yo, let's be consistent. Let's just get the ball in our best players. And like some people just want a simple person, like a simple point guard that just really doesn't turn the ball over. And that's really important for a point guard to not turn the ball over. I know we have these high-end guards that turn the ball over at a shit ton rate, like Ja, Trae Young, LaMelo, but they have the ball all game. Like naturally you're going to turn the ball over. So for a point guard of Tyus Jones to not turn the ball over practically ever, that's really important, especially for an offense that would love to have all their possessions of Devin Booker and Kevin Durant's hand. I think what's holding this team back is going to be the big man. I think that's what's going to hold this team back. Not having that reliable defensive big that can really help them in these matchups against bigger or stronger teams. Not being able to, or being able to save Kevin Durant for the playoffs and not having them way out and drag on at the 5 or the 4 throughout, the regular season where you shouldn't need him to play that. I think that's really what's holding them back. So I think both of these teams are in a situation where they're not real, but they're not necessarily fake. I think Golden State is exceeding a little bit of expectations. It could be real in the sense of maybe be a playoff team. I think for Phoenix, our expectations coming in was the roster's nice. It's cute. Maybe they can, be above a 6 seed, be above a 5 seed. I think maybe they can get to that, but it's really going to be interesting to see how they address that big man situation at the deadline. So I'm not all the way real on it. I'm not all the way fake. I'm a little bit more optimistic on Phoenix because I think for Golden State, what's always going to hold them back is that lack of a second creator. I think Buddy Hield's been playing at an amazing level, but I don't know how long it's going to sustain. As for Phoenix, it's just that big man thing.
So I think there are certain aspects about these teams that are real, like what Riz mentioning. I think what's real for the Warriors is their defense, and I think their bench is real. I think it's one of the best benches in the NBA, and that alone can keep them afloat in the Western Conference and in the standings. You have Buddy Hield averaging 20 off the bench. You have Kuminga averaging 13 or 14 off the bench, and he's not even off to his hottest start. AirPods is also coming off the bench. You have 50 points coming off your bench, and your offense, if they're playing great defensively and they can stay afloat with the Steph minutes, then you have a bench that can route other teams. That's just as simple as that. With the Suns, the Tyus Jones conversation is interesting. I think they needed a point guard. They just needed somebody to just get the fuck out of the way and just give it to Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. And is that the hardest job in the world? No. I think there are two really answers when it comes to the Tyus Jones thing. Number one, he's on a minimum salary. So really, you shouldn't even expect too much. Like, you shouldn't be like, oh, he's not averaging 15 and 8. Wow, that's a loss. Like, he's a minimum player who's a starting point guard for you. The conversation really came from the fact that, like, Tyus Jones doesn't create advantages with his assists. And that's true. Like, Tyus Jones isn't breaking down defenses. He is not, drawing two to the ball and then kicking it out for open threes. That's not his job. What he's doing is Mike Budenholzer calls in a play. Tyus Jones stands at the top of the key. They run their sets. You have these down screens and pin downs. Kevin Durant comes off of it. Okay, here I'm going to pass it to KD, and then he's going to shoot it. They call those Rondo assists because Rondo was a lot like that, where he didn't really create a lot of advantages on his assists. And sometimes you need somebody like that. You don't want Devin Booker doing that. Yep. That's what he was doing last year.
And they failed.
You don't want Bradley Beal doing that because he's more of a scorer.
Sure don't want KD doing
so basically, you need a passer, a pass-first player to run an offense, and that's what Tyus Jones is. But the center problem is huge. The starting lineup, they don't even have a positive net rating. They have a negative net rating, and it's because of Yusuf Nurkic.
He's been so bad.
He has been unplayable, specifically versus the Lakers. He has been unplayable. JJ Redick runs him off the court whenever they play. He is big, but he can't finish around the basket. He's a good rebounder, but he's very slow on defense. That is going to be their major problem. And if they don't fix that, this is not a serious team. Like, it doesn't matter what they do. This is not a serious team if they don't try to acquire a center out there on the market.
Who would you grab?
I don't even know. Like,
Steven Adams?
That's a good
Band-Aid?
option. That's a good option. Like
Rob will be tough.
He's just
That would
so
move
you
me.
can't trust
Rob
him.
there
will
aren't
move
even
me.
centers available like that.
I think Rob would be cool if he could stay healthy.
I mean, Rob's probably your best there. You got 3 centers. They got Kling and Ayton and Rob.
They're probably gonna want some time.
Because you look at the Suns, like they have 2 players that do similar things. Like Royce O'Neal and Grayson Allen, they do similar things. If Royce O'Neal shoots and defends, Grayson Allen plays that role as well. Grayson's a better shooter. Royce is a better defender.
Is Grayson still struggling to shoot? I know to start off the year he
just had a great
rough.
game.
Shit, if
the
you could
other
try to
night.
trade Grayson and Nurkic and get 2 quality good players back, that's a win.
Would you take Valanciunas onto the Suns?
No.
He's a worse defender than Nurkic.
He is, but
I think they need a
37%,
defensive-minded
I think it's getting
player.
back.
defensive anchor type
Like
deal?
an Isaiah Hartenstein.
I would have
you
said
know, one of
Isaiah
those.
Jackson if he didn't tear his Achilles.
Yeah, facts.
That'd have been a cool. Just somebody.
Isaiah Jackson tore his
Yeah.
Achilles.
Yeah.
Or he tore something
From the Pacers.
Yeah, it's like their second
Achilles,
big that's out
yeah.
for the year. He tore
Wow.
something. I don't know if it's Achilles. But
I
he
know
tore
James
something.
Wiseman is
Yeah,
No,
out there.
no, he's out for the season.
They're both out for
Wow.
the year. So that would have been a cool guy to grab if they could have. Isaiah Jackson would have been dope, defensive minded.
The Warriors, what's impressed me the most is the turnovers have completely changed over these
shocked
last
as
few
fuck.
years. I don't exactly know why. Like, I mean, for the most part, you're still running the same shit offensively. Of course, Steph has been out, but this is a team the last like 3, 4, if not longer, has been top 5 in turnovers, and this year they're bottom 10. So they're doing a better job taking care of the ball. Buddy Hield, also you mentioned 20 points off the bench, shooting a ridiculous rate. He's not Klay Thompson, but he's kind of, filling that role of just being a hot shooter. I do wonder what happens when the shooting eventually comes back down to earth. Will he be as engaged defensively? Because I feel like a lot of the reason why Buddy is so engaged, like I'm making half of my threes, so I'm in a good mood, so I'm really trying. Exactly. So when that happens, when Buddy goes on his inevitable, cold streak like all shooters do, will he still be as engaged defensively? I think the bigs have been great. Your bigs, Draymond, Kevon Looney for the minutes that they play has been sensational. The defense is real, and I think that I was between them and the Pelicans, like last play-in team. I think the Warriors are obviously a better team right now, and I get it. The schedule hasn't been great. Like you played the Blazers, the Pelicans a couple of times, but again, the Warriors are like a middle of the pack team, right? Like at least what we look right now, like they should not be looked at as like, oh, but it's just the Pelicans and these teams. Like these are the teams that you have to get past
Those
if you want to be
with BI and Zion and no Steph movement.
Yeah, for sure. And you didn't have Curry for those as well. And you have we just talked about this 4-game stretch. You got fucking Dallas and OKC. Like you're gonna lose probably like 3 out of the 4. But I don't think the world should crumble, right? Like you're expected to lose these games. These are the top teams in the NBA, so I wouldn't be shocked there. But I do think the Warriors have impressed me, maybe or surprised me more than any other team in the NBA. And I think Phoenix is for real too. Like I had them at 5 or 6 seed. I thought they were going to be a team that doesn't take a leap like standings wise from last year because they were still around that spot, but just how they played is about what I expected. The offense looks a lot better with Tyus Jones running the ship. That game last night they had against the Sixers was great. That went down to the wire. Paul George missed that final shot. I saw you on playback. That was pretty funny.
That was funny as hell.
Steve Kerr's stock
they've been
is up
moving
right
me.
now.
Steve Kerr?
Mm-hmm.
I
Yes.
saw that shit.
Yes.
What happened?
They said
You have
Steve
to be
Kerr-
moved.
Steve Kerr's stock is up?
No, definitely.
Yeah,
Because
I
stock's
definitely-
been down last
Yeah,
couple
no,
years.
I definitely saw that.
Maybe he was right for benching a certain somebody in the
Clay?
Olympics.
Oh,
Kerr.
Oh, Tatum. Well, Tatum might give us 50 in Boston. So
You seen the way Tatum's playing?
Yeah, I mean he completed multiple things. He killed 2 birds with 1 stone. He fixed Tatum for you, and he also won Team USA the Olympics.
Shout out to Steve Kerr, man.